Now, given that we're not getting a Star Wars Celebration until 2025, since Disney and Lucasfilm are skipping over 2024, just be aware about that. The only major event that we really have for this year and next are the two D23 events that's really going to promote the upcoming Star Wars roadmap. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get into the ACOLYTE, shall we? Now, this is probably the one show that I am not looking forward to at all, but there's a lot of problematic situations that are arising about the show behind the scenes and through Leslye Headland's vision. Now, I never want to see anything fail. Let me just be clear, I'm a very passionate Star Wars fan. I love everything of what's going on when it comes to the deep lore, the true George Lucas philosophy. It's why I think the only hope for the franchise out there, if anything, it really relies on Tony Gilroy, Favreau, and Filoni, and that's about it so far. And Ahsoka really needs to prove itself, to prove to the fans that Star Wars does have a lot of opportunities ahead. So they have to really embrace that. So moving to the next big thing here about Leslye Headland and the ACOLYTE and what's going on, specifically relating to what's happening with the show and how it is going to be a disgrace to George Lucas's philosophy and everything that he worked for, his life's work for the franchise, and more. Now, we know that Leslye is not a true fan. We've talked about this. I advise that you guys go ahead and check out Leslye Headland's Star Wars Celebration 2023's video. Check it out. But anyways, moving on. Now, with both Kathy Kennedy and Leslye Headland working still on the ACOLYTE with reshoots planned for this November, be aware about that, they are getting ready to announce a release date by this September for the series. As it turns out, Leslye Headland has George Lucas banished from the set, and she never allowed him to visit both in-studio sequences that were actually being shot, as well as on-location scenes. The same goes as follows now for the upcoming reshoots planned to take place in studio by this November, where both Kathy and Leslye have agreed and pushed this restriction of George Lucas ever visiting the set. Now, what makes the situation even worse is that both Kathy and George had actually agreed on certain story elements to be respected in the ACOLYTE that are now going unpromised, where Kennedy and Leslye are set to significantly retcon the entire prequel trilogy, starting off with The Phantom Menace, along with other prequel trilogy-oriented lore, such as the books and the comics, etc. And those elements. Other elements of Filoni's in the Clone Wars will also be retconned through, of course, hefty reshoots related to the ACOLYTE by this November through the series itself, as Leslye tries to divert away from Lucas's philosophy entirely and to change the entire view and concept of good versus evil and Jedi and Sith. Now guys, let me pause here for a sec. Now, this is exactly why I do not like the ACOLYTE, even though we don't have a shred of official footage. Now, yes, we did have leaked footage that kind of blossomed at Star Wars Celebration. You guys may or may not have seen that, but I don't know if you guys did, but if you guys check it out, you do get these martial arts Matrix vibes out of it. And I think that's why Leslye Headland says that this series has a mixture of Matrix, Kill Bill, Frozen thrown in there, as well as elements of Mission Impossible, etc. Now, the thing about the ACOLYTE, which really makes me very much irate, I will admit, is the fact that she's trying to literally water down the facts and the lore of what happens in the prequels. We already know that Leslye is setting course for creating a new Chosen One that is set to be a Jedi God in the ACOLYTE spin-off show, set to feature Brie Larson as the main character. We talked about this too, and it's just very unfortunate that this is the day and age that we live in, where Lucasfilm or Disney allows somebody like Leslye Headland to take control of this. Now, we know that Disney executives have been very unhappy with the test screenings of some of the ACOLYTE scenes that have been shot. And mind you guys, the ACOLYTE is all done filming. They're all finished. They're just doing some minor reshoots here and there to kind of add in some twists and turns, and that's about it. So, they are setting course for a April and or March of 2024 release date window. That's what they're aiming for right now. Of course, that's all highly dependent on when post-production is going to really come to a close. That could be subject to change. We might get this in May for all we know. But for now, it's April to March. What's interesting, though, is further, alright? Now, on top of this, the Sith are getting a complete origin story to be told in the Acolyte through Leslie's vision and these reshoots that is set to make them the heroes of the galaxy in a sense, and that it was the Jedi that corrupted them. This is described to be one of the franchise's damaging twists and or turns planned, that she is embracing and got her blessing, get this, from Rian Johnson, for doing something bold. The reason why she seeked Rian was that she had the courage to make such controversial decisions with The Last Jedi, and Leslye is a huge fan of Rian and The Last Jedi. George, of course, at no surprise, does not endorse these ideas, and has fallen into heated arguments with Disney for allowing this to even happen through Kathy and Leslye, as it tarnishes the prequels that fans grew up with and cherish to this day. Now, here's the other problem that comes out of this, is that she is literally trying to turn around the concept of good versus evil and making this weird concept of good versus evil is misunderstood. That's what she's trying to basically promote in the Acolyte. And it really makes you wonder, where is this all coming from? Now, we know that, and by the way, go ahead and check out that video, Leslye Headland at Celebration of 2023. Her walkout when she comes on stage is not only pure cringe, the way she turns her head like a pigeon or a Terminator, I don't know what to say about that. But when she sits down, she says how she is such a diehard fan of the expanded universe, and the Acolyte's not even an expanded universe story, so that's another thing to think about and realize. The other thing is that she, in a separate podcast years ago, said that if you don't expect anybody else in the room but George Lucas, you're a misogynist. She really goes to that extreme. And even on the stage, she fake cried and said how Star Wars saved her life, yet follows on to say that Star Wars, saved her life without really explaining how. Kind of reminds me of Amber Heard when she kind of fake cries in the court, which is like, my dog stepped on a bee. It was kind of like that level of like roll your eyes cringe. But anyways, everything related to the Acolyte now, it's not looking good. And we've talked about what's been going on behind closed doors. It's been nothing but a drama fest. As unfortunate as that is, it's true. It was by far one of the most toxic working environments for Lucasfilm, matched up with Skeleton Crew. That too was a very toxic working environment. Those two shows, it's not a coincidence that Kathleen Kennedy is running the show completely, that they are both very toxic in nature as far as what was going on behind the scenes. That just goes to show you that everything that she touches comes to ruin. And I always think about this in my mind. She is literally the destroyer of franchises. So anyways, guys, I would love to hear your take on this below. What do you think about Leslie's treatment of the Acolyte? Do you really believe it's a franchise killer? And what do you think is going to happen after the Acolyte series? I would love to hear your take on that. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.